It's easy with fights every week to forget about the fighters who lay the foundation for those we laud today. Many look at the early days of the UFC, but it was truly a revolution in Japan that arguably created the first superstars in MMA. I'm Ben Doucette, and this is Guts and Glory MMA's Top 10 Pride Fighters. Number 10. Quinton Rampage Jackson. With a Pride record of 12-5, Rampage has fought a who's who within the organization. He would debut in a losing effort against Sakuraba before going on a 3-fight win streak over Kevin Randleman, Chuck Liddell, and Murilo Bustamante, all former UFC champions. He would lose to Wanderlei Silva in one of the most memorable fights in Pride history. Rampage would forever be known for his KO slam of Ricardo Arona and his 2 fights with Wanderlei before he would leave for the UFC. Number 9. Mark Coleman. With a record of 8-5 in Pride, Coleman had a mixed bag of success within the organization. 3 of his 5 losses, however, would come against the elite in Pride at the time: Fedor, Krokop, and Big Nog. Coleman's wrestling and heavy ground and pound would secure him the Pride Openweight Grand Prix in 2000, and he would pick up victories over Shogun Rua, Don Frye, and Igor Vovchanchyn, to name a few. He would end his career once he returned to the UFC. Number 8. Kazushi Sakuraba, the Gracie Hunter. Sakuraba would be one of the earliest and largest stars in Pride. He would start his career 9-0 before running into a man that was much larger than him in Igor Vovchanchyn. Sakuraba would have a record of 18-8-1 in Pride. When it was all said and done, he would have wins over the likes of UFC champions Vitor Belfort, Carlos Newton, Kevin Randleman, and Rampage Jackson. Of course, he would have 4 victories over the Gracie family: Hoyce, Hoyler, Ryan, and Henzo. Sakuraba was the king of Pride in a time before belts existed. Number 7. Shogun Rua. Mauricio Rua burst onto the Pride scene with soccer kick knockouts in his first 4 fights in Japan. He would face Quinton Jackson during the opening round of the 2005 Pride Middleweight Grand Prix and extend his soccer kick streak to 5. Rua would go on to win that Grand Prix by picking up 3 more wins over Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, Alistair Overeem, and Ricardo Arona. After a horrible accident resulted in a broken arm in a fight with Mark Coleman, marking his one and only loss in Pride, Rua would rebound and end his Pride tenure with 4 more wins over Overeem, Kevin Randleman, Kazuhiro Nakamura, and Cyril Diabate. Number 6. Takanori Gomi. Embarking on what can only be known as one of the best runs in lightweight history at the time, Gomi would enter his Pride debut on a loss to BJ Penn at Rumble on the Rock. Gomi wouldn't taste defeat again for 3 more years in a run that would see him win the Pride Lightweight Grand Prix, the Pride Lightweight title, and pick up wins over Jens Pulver, Hayato Sakurai, and Charles Bennett, to name a few. Gomi would suffer only 1 true blemish in his Pride career, a non-title bout to Marcus Aurelio before defeating him in the rematch. Gomi's final Pride numbers would be 13-1-1. The no decision was a fight he famously lost to Nick Diaz by gogoplata that would later be ruled a no contest due to Diaz testing positive for marijuana. Number 5. Wanderlei Silva. One of the true legends of Pride and perhaps its biggest star, Silva would start his career 3-0 before heading to the UFC in a losing effort to Tito Ortiz. Silva would return to Pride and nab a record of 5-0-1, gaining the Pride Middleweight Championship and wins over Dan Henderson and Kazushi Sakuraba twice. A record of 10-0-1, 3 title defenses, and a 2003 Middleweight Grand Prix victory cemented Silva's legacy before he would lose 4 of his last 8, including losing the title and losing a Grand Prix match in the first round. In his time with Pride, he holds the record for most wins, most knockouts, most title defenses, and the longest winning streak. He would end his time in Pride with a 22-4-1-1 record. Number 4. Dan Henderson. After a rough start to his Pride career saw him lose 3 of his first 6, including a heavyweight loss to Antonio Nogueira, Henderson would age gracefully as he would win 9 of his next 10 fights, including the 2005 Pride Welterweight Grand Prix, the Pride Welterweight title, and became the only 2-division champ any major MMA organization had ever seen when he knocked out Wanderlei Silva to gain the Pride Middleweight title as well. Hendo would end his Pride career 13-5. Number 3. Mirko Cro Cop. Cro Cop never captured the heavyweight title, but he fought the best the division has ever seen and showed what truly lethal striking can do at the highest level. Cro Cop would start his Pride career 7-0-2 with wins over the likes of Heath Herring, Sakuraba, and Igor Vovchanchin before he would get a chance to fight for the belt against Antonio Nogueira in the 2003 Fight of the Year. Cro Cop would be submitted by armbar, but would then go on to win 9 out of 10, including a 7-fight win streak, beating Josh Barnett, Kevin Randleman, Alexander Emilianenko, Mark Coleman, and others before getting another crack at the belt, this time held by Fedor Emelianenko. He would lose a decision in a fight that was voted 2005 Fight of the Year. Cro Cop would eventually exit for the UFC without a title, but would grab a 2006 Grand Prix victory on his way out. With a record of 18-4-2, knockouts that are legendary, and of course the legendary catchphrase, right leg hospital, left leg cemetery, Cro Cop belongs on the list. Number 2. Antonio Rogerio Big Nog Nogueira. Winning the first Pride heavyweight title in just his 3rd fight with the promotion, with victories over Gary Goodridge, Mark Coleman, and Heath Herring, Big Nog would make a name for himself quickly. Submission wins over much larger opponents in Bob Sapp and Semi Schilt would see him 8-0 before losing his belt to Fedor Emelianenko. He would quickly gain the interim belt with wins over Rico Rodriguez and in a Fight of the Year with Mirko Cro Cop. He would enter the Grand Prix as the interim champ and make it to the finals for a rematch with Fedor after beating Heath Herring and Sergei Haritdatov. An accidental headbutt would spoil the rematch, but they would book an immediate 3rd fight between Fedor and Nogueira that Nogueira would lose. Before exiting for the UFC, he would end his career with a 17-3 record and be known as a man with an incredible chin and a will to keep pushing forward. Number 1. Fedor Emelianenko. Was there ever any doubt who would be number 1? Some may question if Fedor fought elite-level heavyweights during the entirety of his Pride career, but it's still next to impossible to argue against the Russian being the best fighter in the organization's history. He would win the organization's belt in just his 3rd fight with a win over Antonio Nogueira. He would defend the title against Nogueira twice with 1 win and 1 no contest, Mirko Cro Cop, and Mark Hunt. Emelianenko picked up Pride victories in non-title fights against the likes of Mark Coleman, Kevin Randleman, Heath Herring, and others. He had some great striking, excellent grappling, and ice-cold blood that flowed through his veins. He never let the limelight distract him from his goal of being the best fighter in Pride history. He would go 14-0 with 1 heavyweight title before Pride collapsed, and his management team would never talk to the UFC, leading many to question his legitimacy as a great of the sport. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for original content every week.